All right, let's talk about something that feels like a secret weapon for a lot of companies, but is actually a hidden danger. I'm talking about that one indispensable hero employee. You know, the one you think you can't live without. Well, it turns out relying on them is one of the biggest risks your business can take.
So let's just dive right in. I want you to really think about this for a second. In your company, right now, who is that one person? Come on, you know who they are. Every leader has someone that springs to mind, even if we don't like to admit it out loud.
And these folks, they often fit into a few classic types, right? It might be that foundational engineer, the one who literally built the core model from scratch. Or maybe it's the ops lead who just knows how to handle every single supplier quirk. Or, and this is a common one, it's the COO who is running half the company on some temporary system that nobody else even dares to touch.
So that brings us right to our first big idea, the hero you can't lose. But let's call them what they really are, single points of knowledge failure. And once you start seeing them that way, you realize just how risky this situation is.
You see, the problem here isn't just about depending on talented people. Every company does that. The real issue, the thing that should keep you up at night, is fragility. It's the very real possibility that your entire operation could grind to a halt just because that one person's critical knowledge suddenly walks out the door.
I love this way of framing the solution. This isn't about micromanaging or not trusting your best people. Not at all. It's about building fire exits for your most valuable asset, your company's brain, its intellectual capital.
Okay, so let's dig into the real cost of all this fragility. Because these dangers, they're often hidden behind the success of your hero employee, which makes them even more sneaky and dangerous. And these costs, they create a ripple effect that touches everything. Your product's roadmap, it completely stalls when that one key person leaves. Those big deals you were about to close, they slip away because the subtle pricing logic was all in someone's head. Your engineering teams, they get scared to touch anything because they're afraid of breaking a system they don't understand. And trust me, investors can smell that kind of instability a mile away.
And look, this isn't just a gut feeling. There's real data to back this up. Research from MIT Sloan consistently shows that companies who make a real effort to spread knowledge around recover way faster from any kind of disruption. Their ability to keep going is part of their design, not just good luck.
So this is probably the most important point of all. We have to stop thinking of this as a talent problem. It's not. You can't and you shouldn't try to stop amazing people from growing and eventually moving on. This is a systems problem, and it requires a systems solution.
Okay, so enough about the problem, let's talk about the solution. This is your playbook. We're going to walk through 3 absolutely key ideas for building an organization that's not just successful, but truly resilient.
First big idea, you have to actively design for continuity. It's a simple 3-step process. 1, figure out what your most critical workflows and business logic are. 2, get that knowledge out of people's heads and into what we call a canonical artifact, basically the single source of truth for that process. And 3, assign a real, capable secondary owner who could actually step in tomorrow if they had to.
Idea number 2 is a huge one, and it's all about who owns the business logic. Right now, in a lot of companies, that logic, your pricing rules, your approval flows, it's all buried in the code. This turns your expensive engineers into accidental business analysts, and it forces the business to wait in line for any little change. The solution? Get the logic owned by the business teams. Let them control it. This frees up your engineers to do what they do best, build stable systems, and it lets the business move so much faster.
And a simple tool like this role mapping matrix can be a total game changer. It's not fancy, but man, is it effective. For every critical function, pricing, forecasting, whatever, you just write down who the primary owner is, who the secondary owner is, and what the key artifacts are. It's simple, it's clear, and it brings instant accountability.
All right, our third and final key idea starts with this quote, and it's one you really need to let sink in, especially if you're trying to move faster. Because here's the punchline. If you automate a process that's messy or unclear, you don't magically fix it. Nope. You just help your team create chaos and make mistakes at a much faster pace. You're just scaling the confusion.
And this quote just nails the solution. Before you even think about automating something, make sure multiple people can explain it and do it by hand. This manual-first approach might feel slow, but you know what's actually slow? Having to do massive, expensive rework down the line because you automated the wrong thing.
So as we move into our final section, I want to completely reframe this for you.
Building resilience isn't just a defensive move to prevent disaster. It is a powerful offensive strategy that can become a massive competitive advantage.
For all the leaders listening, here is the core takeaway. Your job is not to collect a bunch of brilliant heroes and hoard their talent. Your real job is to build a system that can capture their brilliance, scale it, and repeat it long after they're gone.
And you can tell when a company gets this. Resilient companies reward people for teaching others, not just for their own individual execution. They make knowledge handovers a normal, routine part of the job. They're constantly testing what-if scenarios. And, this is critical, they treat their documentation like a core asset for growth, not a chore to be ignored.
So let's bring this all home. I want to give you a simple, actionable playbook that you can literally start putting into practice tomorrow to make your organization stronger.
Here it is, the whole playbook boiled down to 5 steps. Number 1, identify your single points of knowledge failure. Number 2, assign real, capable backups for those roles. 3, run short, hands-on knowledge transfers, where people learn by doing. 4, give the business logic back to the business teams. And 5, always teach a process before you try to automate it.
So I'll leave you with one final question to chew on. What specific piece of knowledge, if it disappeared tomorrow, would completely freeze your next big product launch? Start right there. Because the real difference between just being brilliant and building something that lasts is practicing for the handoffs instead of just being afraid of them. Thanks for listening.